Morning, welcome to Thinking is Contagious. I'm gonna go just off the cuff on a couple of quick thoughts, and thought about it last night quite a bit. And my question is, how much longer are we going to put up with this? I don't know if you've seen um, the talk that there is on the media. And you know the media, what it is, it's the mouthpiece for the left. About now Thanksgiving. We're about 10 days out, 8 days out, whatever it is. And they're telling us basically not to have Thanksgiving. They're telling us to, if we do have it, to have it for 10 people. Or if we saw Joe Biden, maximum 10. Preferably 5. Well, based on what? What? What's the science? Why 10? Why not 8? Why not 12? Why 5? Why not 3? What is the science? There is no science to this. Okay? There's been study after study that has come out, which basically shows that the mask doesn't do anything. They did a study with the Marine Corps. And in the Marine Corps, they segregated a group of Marines and had them wear masks and had them go through extensive segregation, cleaning of their facilities, and they allowed another group of Marines to live a life, typical Marine life in the barracks, with the normal cautions, washing your hands and everything, not throwing caution to the wind. The results, those that wore the mask constantly and were under constant disinfection and constant watch orders for what they were doing versus those who lived a normal Marine life, no difference. No difference. When you go to a restaurant, the hypocrisy of walking around with a mask until you sit down, and then you sit down to eat, and then you can take it off, doesn't change anything. The mask is masking the issue. The issue is that 99% of people who get this recover. Of people who are not with comorbidities, they recover. The issue is that there are people that do have factors, comorbidity factors, that do have to take precautions. But America needs to go back to being America. The Biden people are talking about more shutdowns as the cases increase. The cases are increasing. The mortality rate is below the mortality rate of pneumonia. The cases are increasing because we're facing the winter season. We're coming into the cooler seasons. People are staying inside more. And because of the fact that we are in the process of creating herd immunity. But let's not get scientific. Let's just say us as Americans, how much longer are we going to take this? Thanksgiving. After that, it'll be Christmas. Then it's going to be what you can't or can't do in your private life. How many people you can gather with. I saw a film clip of a California politician encouraging snitches, saying snitches will get rewarded if you see people that are violating, not wearing their mask, gathering large gatherings. Well, guess what? Why don't you snitch on Governor Newsom? Why don't you snitch on Nancy Pelosi? Why don't you snitch on Feinstein? Why don't you snitch on all these politicians that are planning their Hawaii getaways for their Christmas break? It's a double standard. It's an attempt to control America, and especially to control the conservatives, who are the ones that are standing up and fighting for their freedoms and their liberties. How much longer are we going to put up with this absurdness of shutting down our economy? This is the reason to shut down this economy. You saw what they did to Trump with the virus. All of a sudden, there's a bad economy and it's Trump's fault. That's not true. The economy was booming. Trump's economy was booming like never happened. An economy that encompassed every minority, every age group, every gender. Everyone was prospering. And then came COVID, and it was weaponized and used against Trump. And the blame was on the economy. Oh, we don't have a good economy. No. That's exactly how the communists work. The communist implementation of communism into this system is to defeat democracy, overburden the system, implode the system for factors that have nothing to do with the system, and then blame the system. And that's what's happening here. And you see it in a microcosm with COVID. They took COVID, they aimed it at the U.S. economy, and they said the economy is a failure. And with that, they hope to implement the leftist agenda of free everything, which we know what free everything means. That means that we who are the taxpayers pay for those who are not the taxpayers. We pay for those who lived above their means and over their heads. And I'm sorry if this is not politically correct, but you know what? If you have $200,000 worth of student loans that you couldn't afford, guess what? You took them out and you took your student loans thinking that you were going to make much more money. So if that is the case, you rolled the dice and it didn't work out, face the music. Because those of us whose kids were able to get scholarships, were able to work while they went to school, and were able to choose excellent educational institutions at a fraction of the cost of the high-profile, keep up with the Joneses institutions, we do not need to pay for those who chose to live above their means. Anyone who takes out $200,000 worth of student loans in order to get an education, believe me, they're not getting an education that in a field that they don't feel that they can pay that back. They made their choices, and now they need to pay for them. Not us. We're not paying for them because we've lived within our means. And we will not pay twice. And we will not pay for irresponsibility. And that's what's happening here. You want somebody to pay those student loans? Go to the institutions of higher learning. Go to the Harvards and the Yales and the Princetons and the Browns and the Georgetowns and the Stanfords. Go to them and say, guess what? You've ripped people off long enough. Charging full tuitions today while kids aren't even in the classroom. You've lived long enough overcharging. Professors with tenure making $250,000, $300,000, $350,000 a year to teach 5 hours a week. No. You want to resolve the problem of cost of education in this country, AOC and Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden? You want to resolve that issue really? Go to the schools who are gorging themselves. The federal government who subsidized, who wrote those loans, who encouraged people to go get a college education. Everyone must have a college education. And for a while there, it was not just a bachelor's that was good enough. You needed a master's degree. And you needed PhDs. And you need to continue to your education. Guess what? Not everyone is supposed to have a master's degree. Not everyone's supposed to have a college education. That doesn't mean that you're not smart. That doesn't mean you're not successful. Overburden the system till it implodes. That is the narrative here in every single area that we're talking about with a problem today. You want to end the situation of student loans? Get the government out of the business of student loans. You want to end the problem of student loans and student debt? Make the schools, the higher education, charge fees that are affordable and make them work within that realm. And that they want free enterprise, the schools. They want free enterprise, but they also want then free rides. It doesn't work that way. We are watching the capitalist system in this country, little by little, being eroded by socialists. Being eroded by people who have never accomplished anything in their 20, 30, 40 years of quote-unquote public service. What does Bernie Sanders have to show for his career? What does Joe Biden have to show for his career? Where's Elizabeth Warren, Nancy Pelosi? What do they have to show for their career? Dianne Feinstein, what does she have to show for her career? People, they've lived off the government dole. They've lived off the taxpayer dollars. They've made themselves multi-millionaires at your stake. Makes no sense when people spend hundreds of millions of dollars to be elected for a position that pays $170,000 a year. Think about it. The original topic: do not allow your freedoms to be taken away. Do not allow your liberties to be taken away. The mask thing is a joke. It's an absolute joke. Google it. There's plenty of studies that show it does nothing to stop the virus. The vaccines, what we've done under President Trump to create vaccines for this disease would never have happened under a conventional politician. Never under a Republican or a Democrat. What you have seen with these vaccines, understand you just voted out. You just voted out the entrepreneurship, the quickness, the assess the problem and attack the problem at its root and resolve the problem of an entrepreneur, of a businessman. You have destroyed it. You have taken it away by voting in a politician. It is shameful that this country has taken a man that, because he is not part of the clique, because he is not part of the swamp, because he does not play ball with the crookedness of politics, and have all teamed up to eliminate him at your expense. You will never see, under a politician, the entrepreneurship. What is happening in the Middle East, people may say it's BS, people may say it's not enough, but it's movement. It's something with the Abraham Accord, with the Middle East Accords. Step in the right direction. For 70 years, no one has made any progress. He's made some. North Korea lit on it. China attacking back, going after them for their violations, for their violations against the United States currency, by their currency manipulation, by their economic manipulations against this country, what it's cost this country, by taking away jobs that was allowed by the Biden-Obama administration. All these things that Trump fought, these crooked trade deals, where the United States always came out with the short end of the stick. The climate accord, okay, were the only ones that their feet were held to the fire and had cost them money, because that's all it was, okay, was a scam to generate revenues. And guess who pays the most revenues in any accord, in any organization, NATO, or whatever organization you want to name? Guess who carries the weight? The United States. So you create these climate accords, you create these entities, and you invite the United States to participate. Not because you respect the United States, not because you want the United States there with you, it's because you want the United States dollar. Okay? And Trump saw through this and said, no more. The Iran nuclear deal. The worst deal. What Obama did was give Iran, what Obama did was give Iran nuclear weapons. He gave Iran the rope to hang us with. And that is something that he will always live with. His ignorance, his incompetence, and his willingness to say or do anything in order to achieve what he couldn't achieve. Read his book. Read The Dreams of My Father. Read his book, and you will see, and not to get too deep into psychology here, but all this guy is doing is calling attention to himself, lashing out, because his father didn't acknowledge him. His father saw him one time. And guess what? Deep down, he's saying, hey, Dad, guess what? I'm important. I'm more important than you. I got something done. I'm famous. I'm rich. I'm powerful. And guess what? It doesn't matter what it cost me to get there. I got there. And that's what this is about. And with that, we have elevated Obama to something that he is not. I've said it many times, his legacy is, and I am thankful to him for this, his corruption and his ineptitude is what allowed us to have Donald Trump. So we got to thank Obama for that. That's his legacy. Because nowhere could Donald Trump have been elected if he didn't follow behind Obama. Nowhere would a coach be hired with no experience unless the coach he's replacing was 0-16. And they said, we need a radical change. And that's what it was with Obama. We took a 0-16 head coach and his offensive coordinator, Joe Biden, and said, let's take a shot with this guy that nobody knows, because guess what? You can't be worse. You can't divide the country more. You can't be more anti-American. You can't harm this country more. You can't promote racism more. You can't promote divisiveness more. And that's how we got Donald Trump. I know this has been a rant in many areas and many topics, but I just feel it needs to be said because I am watching Cuba. I am watching Cuba in the United States with these mandates about how many people can come to your house to eat, about encouraging people to snitch on people who don't follow the rules, about masks, the falsehood of requirements of masks in Florida. I'm on the playground with my grandkids and there's an employee of the park walking around telling you to put on a mask. No, I don't have to put on a mask. Florida does not mandate that you have to wear a mask. This is all a bunch of BS. And this is all an attempt by the left and the Democrats to say, oh yeah, we know how to resolve this issue of the pandemic, of the China flu. We have it under control. No, you don't. You don't have anything under control because no one knows. This is a disease that's going to run its course. And the only thing that we do know, and I'm going to close on this, is that what we have done with a vaccine, with vaccines, in less than a year, can only happen under an entrepreneur. And we voted in a 47-year-old, a 47-year tenured swamp creature who's never done anything. And for anyone to think that the next 4 years are going to be anything but infighting among the Democrats and the far left, trying to implement a socialist agenda as Joe Biden goes down kicking and screaming because he's going to be eaten up by the praying mantis that is Kamala Harris. And we're going to end up having to clean up this mess. Fortunately, there's midterms in 2 years. And if my prediction is right, the Republicans are going to control both houses. But in the interim, we got a rough ride coming. People, stand up for yourself. Fight. Do not accept your freedom being taken away. This is Cuba. This is Venezuela. Study it. This is exactly what happened. You can't even trust your neighbors. Your family is being asked to stay apart, be pulled apart. Your neighbors are being asked to squeal on you, especially if they don't agree with you politically. This is America. This is not Cuba. Thank you.